Russia has been engulfed in a new wave of violence, provoked by the mass return of participants in the war with Ukraine from the front. Tens of thousands of criminals have already returned, regularly resorting to violence, fights, robberies and murders, writes Verstka. According to the Russian Prosecutor General's office, more than 27,000 crimes were registered in the first 6 months of 2025. This is the maximum for the last 12 years and almost 4,000 more than the year before. For the first time since 2014, the figure exceeded the 23,000 mark. Crimes have swept through all 80 regions, including annexed Crimea and Sevastopol. Since the beginning of the war, more than 130,000 convicts have been sent to Ukraine, promising them freedom and forgiveness. Today, they are returning with psychological trauma, combat experience, and a sense of impunity. According to open data alone, at least 400 civilians have been killed, and hundreds more have been maimed. The overwhelming majority of victims are the criminals' relatives and friends. Murders, rapes, drunken massacres. New victims of the heroes of the SVO appear in the grim statistics every day. Instead of monitoring the released prisoners, the Russian authorities say that they atoned for their guilt with blood. Every fourth frontline soldier who sought psychological help was referred to a psychiatrist. Every fifth was diagnosed with PTSD. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. Meanwhile, officials are already preparing for a new surge in violence, alcoholism, and mass recidivism. People Putin plucked from prison and sent to war are returning home with guns in their hands and the right to do anything. Experts emphasize Russia has already begun to pay for the attacks on Ukraine, only it will not be Putin who will have to pay, but ordinary Russians. As veterans from Moscow's war in Ukraine return to Russia and are lauded as the new elite, crime rates are drastically increasing, creating a surge in violence across Russian society. The Kremlin's loss of the monopoly on violence, combined with reduced numbers of police and the recidivism of criminals returning from the front, has led to violence becoming the new norm in Russia. The army is increasingly becoming a breeding ground for crime, including drug trafficking. Pro-war propagandists are normalizing the situation and advocating for soldiers to keep fighting despite this corruption. The front in Ukraine itself is becoming a separate hotbed of organized crime. Not only has there been the removal of an internal barrier to violence and killing in Russia among people who have been to war, but there has also been a trend of common crimes within the Russian army.
Israeli airstrikes struck central Gaza early Thursday, hitting a camp for displaced families near Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah. According to Associated Press, the attack came after warning calls and a drone-fired missile. While no casualties were reported, the strike destroyed roughly 100 tents sheltering people who had already fled fighting in other parts of the Strip. Smoke rose from the targeted area, and fires spread quickly through the makeshift shelters. Civil defense teams rushed to the site, working to extinguish the flames. Families, many of them with children, were left sifting through the ashes of what little they had managed to bring with them during earlier evacuations. Mohammed Khalaut, displaced from northern Gaza, voiced anger and despair at the repeated attacks on civilians. "We came to the safe zone, which they call safe. We were given only 5 minutes to gather our belongings, and then they bombed the camp," he said. "We are civilians, not terrorists. What is our fault, and what is the fault of our children, to be displaced again? This is a camp for civilians, refugees, there is no resistance or anyone."
هذا مش رخص 16 ولك حزام ناري هذا.
نازح من شمال قطاع غزة، اجينا على المنطقة الآمنة اللي بسموها آمنة. هينا لقيتها في دير البلح. فيش 5 دقائق قالوا خلال المنطقة. حطينا كل اغراضنا وش بنمتلك وما نصدق نجيب اكلنا وما نكسي نجيب شربنا ونجيب حالنا. هيهم قصفوا المخيم. احنا مدنيين يا عالم، مدنيين مش ارهابيين. وينكم؟ وين العرب؟ وين الامة المسلمة؟ وين المسلمين؟ ايش ذنبنا احنا؟ ايش ذنب اطفالنا تشردوهم؟ ايش هذا مخيم مدنيين لاجئين. فيش لا مقاومة ولا في حد.
يا حاج هاي يا ابويا قاعد بطل الله. هيثم يا عم ايش لك انت هيان؟ خش شوف الاغراض بس مسؤولين.
حطيت لك يما شويه جلابيات لك ماما لقيت هويه تيمر.
عشان بشوف شنو امك يا اغراض يا زلمه. شرطك شنو يا عم دياب؟
سودا.
A fire in the northwest Spanish province of Zamora has destroyed more woodland as it was fanned by strong winds. According to Associated Press footage from the Spanish Military Emergency Unit, a branch of the Spanish Armed Forces, showed agents attempting to tackle the blazes that burned through thickets and forested areas on Tuesday. Spain is battling several major wildfires during one of its most destructive fire seasons in recent decades. Thousands of firefighters, aided by soldiers and aircraft, were battling fires on Tuesday in parched woodland, especially in northwestern Spain. German firefighting units had arrived to help in northern Spain. The fires in Spain have killed 4 people this year and burned more than 382,000 hectares or about 1,475 square miles, according to the European Union's European Forest Fire Information System. That surface area is more than twice the size of metropolitan London, more than 6 times the 2006 to 2024 average for land burned during the same period, according to EFIS. Police have detained 23 people for suspected arson.